I want to go on by also looking at coping and adaptation. We all hope for smooth sailing through life with little stress or conflict. However, that rarely happens at times of tension and conflict require the ability to cope. Coping includes mental and behavioral responses to stressors in our life. Coping skills can be positive, such as talking with someone, meditation, leisure, diversions, or humor. These are good coping skills, and they can also be harmful, such as ignoring or blaming others or criticizing others. Related, coping skills can have a positive or negative impact on, well, we respond to aging. Now, as we age and we go through different processes, our life takes on different diversions. It goes right back down in a dementia setting again. Your frontal temporal lobe becomes deteriorated sometimes if you're having dementia. And even though that may not be the case where you are perceived to be having dementia, your mental faculties are not as strong as sharp as it used to be when you are young. Your attitude and behavior pattern in life obviously change, and it changed dramatically. And you see things differently. So there are many theories about the type of coping skills we should adopt in working with older adults. The following two coping skills are helpful. Problem-oriented coping. Efforts are directed towards resolving the problem. And old folks in general, they often have issues in life and problems, and we must be cautious to that fact and try your best to deal with it and enable them to also get over an issue if you possibly can. There are also the emotional-oriented coping. Efforts are directed towards responding to the emotions generated by the issue. So this is something that you and the resident or the person that you're working for or working with rather, may develop an issue, an emotional issue, and not necessarily that they had one, but you yourself are conscious to the fact you may have done something in their life or doing something in their life that they don't like, they don't know how to bring over to you in a positive way that you both can sit down and have a rational conversation to deal with such matters. But either way, it happens. So you have to be again sensitive to what's happening in your working environment and what's happening between you and the client to see if you're happy. Ask the question sometimes. Is everything okay? Is there anything else I can help you with? Whatever you can do to make their life comfortable, that is quite essential. So coping with and adaptation is very essential as a caregiver, a PCA or CNA, or any medical practitioner, for a matter of speaking. You have to be the person, something to bring about some form of change, whether it's at a micro level or a macro level. That's your responsibility. You also want to look at the stereotype, and this is very important because sometimes during this aging process, we can overstep our boundaries as caretakers, and we can dive into this ageism before actually aware of what we're doing. And what ageism really is, it's crossing the boundaries of discriminatory attitudes or marginalizing, and we don't understand it. We don't even seem to look at it. And I tell you why from a more personal and realistic standpoint. What is hard to recognize ageism or establishing or going over the boundaries of discriminatory issues or even marginalizing is that we live in a marginalized society. We discriminate every day. And some forms of discrimination sometimes is accepted in society, and let me explain to you. From the time you're a toddler, you go into preschool, you are into preschool by your age. Then you move over then to high school. As you grow older, you group into your first grade age, second grade goes by age, third grade go by age. If you go into college, you're for the first time you're referred to as a freshman. So you see how people are categorized by age, and that become the acceptable form in our society. But here's the problem. A drastic change come about when you go over the age of 50 years and above that, where your life takes a complete change drastically. And what you would have appreciated back then in your young childhood days, and hey, you didn't even care about it that much because that was the realities of life. That was the way of life. But that childhood days long past you by, and you are now an adult, a senior. And I can share this with you. I used to hear this old saying before that, once a man, twice a child. And all that's simply saying that you have your youthful years, but sometimes after you pass your youthful years and you get into your senior years, you go back into a childhood way of getting things done. Unfortunate circumstances that you are not going to really think like a child, but there's some habitual things that you develop makes you look as although you are a child. And again, unconsciously, you're not even aware that you're acting like a child. Sometimes the needs that you cater for a child are the same very needs that you're getting catered to as an adult. For example, it may come a time in your life where you can't do for yourself, and someone has to feed you, as although you were a child. You can't do for yourself any longer. Someone washes your clothes, just like when you were a child. You can't help yourself to the bathroom, so someone caters for you, as although you are a child. So that's what they mean that once a man, twice a child, and that's a old form of putting things in a my way for seniors back many years ago. So as we go on, many older people are very aware of how to use a computer, use the internet, and often have a Facebook page. Not all older people are hearing impaired and being unhappy all the time is a situation that should be evaluated and not considered typical. An older person accepting and promoting the use of stereotypes related to aging is a form of ageism. So that's the next area we're looking at here, because as I just give you the illustration of going through your early childhood years from school to high school, from preschool to high school, and going to college, and you were stereotyped by a name and whatever the case may be. We in general, as grown adults, many of us look as older people as although they're dumb, they don't know how to use a computer. We stereotype them, we marginalize them, and we put them in one bracket. And I mean, we are putting all of them in one bracket as although that's who they are. And we are actually underestimating who these people are. And because of that, of your imagination and what you think they feel, you have the tendency of treating everyone alike. And that is marginalizing, that is discriminatory. So that's the issue that we have to come to grips with. And as I read it here, ageism is also a form of discrimination. Treating people differently based on their age is a common practice in the outside community. An older person may stand at a counter waiting for help from a clerk longer than a younger person. That sounds like true. The same attention you give to younger people, you just don't give to older people for some reason. They are treated as outcasts out of society. And this had been going on for generations upon generations. So we must understand the importance of recognizing what we are doing and treat everyone with equal respect. And this is a word for the activity professionals may encounter ageism when escorting persons into the community. Taking a group of older adults to a restaurant may cause the restaurant staff to groan when they see the community bus pull up. If this occurs, the activity professional assumes that the role of advocate to ensure that the group is treated with respect and the same courtesy as well as other guests to the establishment. I always say this, customers always king. It doesn't matter whether you're old, young, they're spending the same dollar. If you're a waitress in a restaurant, this is just an example of how people marginalize. Treat everyone diligently, prudently, with respect. Whether they're old or whether they are young. That's essential. And it's the same thing for the activities professional. And as I speak here, I would just want to let everyone know, whether you're at home or working in a nursing facility or whatever the case may be, this topic basically is to encourage you and enable you to see beyond where the natural eye is pointing you to. So the activity professionals does not make assumptions about any person based on age. And this is true, right? During the initial assessment process, each person is interviewed for key information which will help treat individualized program. Whether someone is 65 years old or 101 years old, opportunities to live life to the fullest should be introduced. Age is just a number. We can introduce the following actions to help generate a more positive image of aging. So as we go through these other final stages of aging, we want to look at the professionals now from a different standpoint. Activity professionals, whether they're CNAs or personal care attendants, whoever they are, can nurture the person and assist in helping them explore ways to feel better. Help them search and find a way to live the best they can. For example, find something. Enjoy doing such a hobby. Encourage the person to be positive. Provide resources so they can live their lives without having that form of strong mental disability. And other options available to manage symptoms, encourage a person to present and help them reinvent themselves for the life they are now living. There are some exercises that you can use as the aging process take care, whether it's breathing. If you see the person is unable to focus or is repeatedly sharing fears and concerns, try deep breathing exercises using as a calm. Soothing voice. Encourage a person to look you in the eyes. Ask them to take a deep breath and exhale. Breathing together with the person creates a positive connection. Once the person is calm, you can help them move towards with decision and adjust. Walk with the person, take them for walks outside the community and around the community. Create and involve the person in expressive activities such as poetry, writing, reminiscent programs, or expressive art programs. These activities allowed for sharing feelings and giving support, knowing they are not alone as they adjust to the new setting can be helpful. Teach them music. Music is a powerful coping mechanism. One of the first assessment areas should be able to find out what type of music the person likes and make them sure that they can listen to their favorite music whenever they desire. Find solutions, involve the person to find solution for the issue. Exercise Our physical movements are good antidotes to stress. Develop a new interest. It may take some time, but finding new friends and many interests, activity departments help create a new path forward. And all this is that it's your right as a person working with mentally disabled people that are aging, or whether they are not mentally disabled, just acknowledge the fact that their mentalities change. And in the process of changing, they will need some form of assistance from a younger person who can direct them in the right path and reassure them that their consciousness still is cognitive enough to make good decisions and live an enjoyable life that is conducive to their aging development. So, in conclusion of this, ageism is often mentioned as the last form of discrimination that is acceptable in our society. Ageism is when we treat a person differently based on their age. This can happen with the young and the old. Ageism is making assumptions about a person before you even know who they are, only based on their age. There are strategies of older people. There are stereotypes of older people that are commonly accepted in advertising. The television program, "Oh, I fall and I can't get up," that old television program. It shows that it aligns many old folks that that's what you do. You just fall, you can't get up, you become a problem to other folks and so forth. And that's a major issue. With all that said, let me just summarize this basically. As we age and go through the aging process, our bodies take on various changes, mentally, physiologically, psychologically, emotionally, biologically. We go through a lot of different phases in our lives. It shapes our mentality, and in the process of shaping our mentality, it also made a change in our behavioral traits. It changed our personality. We are not the person we used to be mentally or physically. Therefore, it's essential that as we, the younger people, understand the risk that associated itself with aging and the aging process, that we learn to be kind and courteous to those who need it most of all. Just try to live in their shoes. Just try to understand that someday you may very well be in their position. And remember this: do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. Treat the aged with dignity and respect. We will look forward to go into other issues in program 5, and we will talk about that. Until then, have a great day.